Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to All in Texas Football, and welcome back to your Friday live stream. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton and my good friend and esteemed colleague Jeff Howell joining us as well. Number one class and Flipma's coming. I like that. I like the optimism. A lot of headlines, of course, going into college football season here. We're getting really close. Longhorns reporting to a training camp coming up next week. So we'll be talking about that. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. So whatever you want to talk about, throw it out there. Questions, comments. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. That's how the Sunday shows work. CB, appreciate you always keeping up with the countdown, with the collage. It's very helpful for Longhorn fans. I know so many Longhorn fans now that count on CB's daily. Like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that guy. Yeah, me too. I confess it. So, CB, thank you for the hard work, brother. We appreciate that.
And there's some interesting 36s. You know what I remember about Chad Stevens, guys? Remember, I don't know if he had like a shoulder injury, but he always went to this after a play. It was always like, either he didn't like his pad. Remember that, Rod? How he would always go to the shoulder move after every play. Like
he was a fullback. I mean, he was like a fullback tight end, like a fullback basically back in the day, man. I don't think they give scholarships to fullbacks anymore. I don't know. They maybe just think the walk-on developed the walk-ons to be fullbacks, but that was back in the day where we had you had Matt Trissell, Chad Stevens. We had recruited fullbacks, like legitimate ones. Damn good ones too, by the way.
We need to get Chad Stevens on the show to see if he does this in between comments still.
Yeah. Hey, Arch does that. Arch does that.
Yeah, he's got some pad discomfort all the time. Yeah,
make sure the wing is loose, man.
Yeah. I know, maybe, because he does that a lot. I've noticed that rewatching film on Arch. He does that a ton. So thank you, Stevie, for the countdown. All right, guys, we'll dive into a lot of different topics. Like I said, your questions, throw them out there. We'll be here about an hour, so we'll try to address as many as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. There's a lot of national stories that I want to get you guys' thoughts on. Just kind of headed. Nick Saban he did an interview, and oh man, I'll give him credit. They asked him 3 different times about coming back, so I want to get you guys' thoughts about that coming up. Also, we can talk more about the executive order that was signed by the president yesterday to essentially fix college football. I want to get you guys' thoughts about that too. And I want to get into some headlines from the NFL about certain Longhorns.
Yeah,
I want to get you guys' thoughts on too. That was a good report about Quinn, and there's a countdown for the best players in the NFL. I'll tell you where they have Bijan listed there too. So there's some headlines about Longhorns in the league because training camp has already started for those guys that I want to get you guys' thoughts on. But something you guys were talking about, Jerry, on Coffee and Football, because one of the national headlines is that one of the main storylines coming out of ACC Media Days is that apparently North Carolina is making it known that they want out. There's some other schools. I mean, Florida State, I think most notably, has made it known that, hey man, they would like to get out of the ACC if all they want to make things difficult. I think that's already known, but now North Carolina seems to be making it known. I saw that on the timeline. You brought it up. So you guys had a nice exercise that I want to get into this discussion a little bit with our audience. Present the hypothetical here and the thought exercise you guys had this morning.
Yeah, so I kind of went, what would be the next four? Let's say the SEC expanded to 20. What would be the next 4 that we would put our kind of say, okay, yes, chat, what do you guys think? Bobby and I definitely were different, and I loved it. It was a great conversation. I went Clemson for sure. If North Carolina gets in, I would take Duke over NC State, and I get why people would disagree with that. The 4th, I kind of left up in the air. I mean, would it be at Florida State? Would it be Miami? Would it be a Georgia Tech to have a chance to get in? I don't know who the 4th would be, but I don't think they'll just do 2. I think they'll probably go to 4 to go to 20. The Big Ten will take 2 and go to 20. Then they'll eventually move to 24 each. I would want Duke in, guys, if North Carolina came, because I know that it's just football and football rules today. But you bring Duke and North Carolina in, and Duke would have a better football team than Vanderbilt if they're in the SEC, in my opinion. There's more talent in their state. I think they'd be better than Vanderbilt in the SEC as a football team. But basketball-wise, I would want every SEC team. I would want to bring Duke, North Carolina to the SEC. Want to have SEC basketball now part of the best basketball rivalry in the country, and have the best football and basketball league hands down moving forward.
See, Jerry's thinking college. He's got a college basketball brain too, along with his football brain. I'm an all football guy, Jeff. What are your thoughts? But you're right; those are the two revenue generators. So why not diversify your revenue there a little bit? What are your thoughts, Jeff? Who would you bring in?
If you're taking North Carolina, I think you gotta have Duke with them. That's just I think you have to. And look, you've already got Vanderbilt in this league. You got some bottom feeder football teams like. Just bring Duke. It's fine. So if Duke and North Carolina are your two, Clemson is an attractive option for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're number one.
I think my fourth would probably be, and I think honestly you can make compelling arguments for all three. Florida State, Miami, and Louisville. I think all three you can make really compelling arguments for.
That's a good one, Jeff. The Louisville one that's a good one.
Sleeper. That's a good one.
Yeah, and Jerry, if you think about it from a basketball standpoint, I mean that's for Louisville and Kentucky to now be a conference game. Maybe they have to play each other twice a year now. So I don't know. There's a lot of different things you could work it. I would put Georgia Tech on the outside of that. In other words, Louisville to me is a more attractive option than Georgia Tech.
That's good. I'd go 2 basketball, 2 football, but that Louisville one is nice. I'd probably end up with Clemson, Florida State, and then North Carolina, Duke. That's the Trills Mac. I think that's where I'd go.
I think what's interesting in the discussion, guys, is so within your state, if North Carolina went, Bobby said there would be a lot of pressure from the state for NC State to go since that's a public school, and Duke would just. And who knows? Duke might say we don't want it here. We'll just go to the Big East in basketball. I mean that I don't think that's the case. Nobody's turned down $100 million a year, right? But what would be interesting is all that pressure to bring the other public school NC State with North Carolina. But there already is precedent for this because Oklahoma said, "Forget about it, Oak State.
Mm-hmm.
We're going, and you're staying." How you like that? So. Georgia Tech is another sleeper.
Yeah, it is.
Them and Louisville are the sleepers. Miami's an interesting one. I think FSU over Miami.
Yeah, but what you do know that if this hypothetical, which honestly, hypothetical, it's going to be a reality. Inevitability, right? It's inevitable, right? It's going to happen at one point. The super conferences conversation that we were all having, 15 years ago or whatever it is, probably longer than that. It's going to come to fruition. If you are one of those attractive options we talked about, Louisville, Georgia Tech, that may be on the outside looking in, or Miami, whoever it is, depending on how the combination works. The Big Ten, if you go, the Big Ten's going to go to super conference too. So if they go to 20, then the Big Ten's going to pick up a couple of more too. So a couple of those options, they're just going to dissolve the ACC, this super conference thing. When it happens, I mean, the ACC will be the biggest victim of it. I mean, that's the Big 12. I don't know if anything is left in the Big 12 that people want. But if they go to super, if they go to 20 plus, you'll pick out at least the top teams out of the rest of the Big 12 too, which I think is also an inevitability.
I think if the Big Ten had to expand, like they had to add teams, I think Kansas would be an attractive option for the Big Ten. I heard they were at one point. I think in this last round, not so much. But after that, I mean, you're looking at, okay, do you try to pair the Arizona schools with some of the West Coast schools to give them a dance partner? Does the Big Ten go back and look at Stanford and Cal just to geographically pair with Washington, Oregon, and SC and UCLA? So, I mean, other than those top tier ACC brands we're talking about, there's nothing really that is attractive, should be attractive to either league. And Jerry, I don't think I'm going out on a limb. I think of all the brands out there, you can say what you want to about football programs. I think in terms of brands, North Carolina is probably the brand.
No doubt.
I think the SEC would want to add.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, you get the state and the TV market, so you will take two teams. See, that's another thing. You want the TV market. I don't think Cody Campbell's getting a seat at the SEC table, by the way.
Oh, that's a great point, Jerry. The next round of realignment,
he's going to be trying.
How much money and influence can you buy? I mean, how much influence can you buy with your money, I should say. But you're right, because he wants in. And he's right now doing a good job at kind of forcing a seat at the table for Tech.
Yeah. And by the way, a lot of people are talking about Notre Dame. Zane said Notre Dame's the biggest brand, and that's why I don't think – if I'm Notre Dame, I don't go to a conference until the very last second, and I have to, because they didn't have to split any of their playoff pie.
Yeah.
They kept all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
That is the ultimate, like, proverbial gun to your head, like, hey, either join a conference or you're out of the playoff, then at that point do it. But until that happens, there's no reason.
Hey, Josie has a question. Can we kick Jerry off the live stream? Not if you have Bird Auburn attempt to. All right.
Come on, man. Wow. Random shots at Bird Auburn. All right. That's good conversation, though. So keep them coming in the chat like that one. Let's get back. We'll get back to some of your questions. Let's thank our first sponsor of the evening, our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. We really appreciate them and their ongoing support of On Texas football. And folks, and you've heard us bragging about the Super Texan for the last couple of years, actually. They recently entered into the San Francisco Wine Festival, and the Super Texan not only held its own, it got a 98 out of 100. It was named the top red blend in the country at that festival. So now you can brag that the Super Texan, not only the best red blend in the great state of Texas, but maybe the best red blend in the country. You can find it at your local Specs, at your local HEB. I saw a display at our local Central Market here in Austin. So the good word is indeed getting out about our good friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. They also have a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. So not only can you enjoy the Super Texan, but the rosé is great. The Pinot Grigio is really refreshing too. My wife loves their wines, and you will as well. So check them out at Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. And if you have a special occasion coming up, maybe it's an anniversary, special birthday, you can always book those special accommodations there at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Make that special occasion even more special. All right. Mayo Corn Dog says, too soon, Jerry. Too soon. All right. Mike, happy retirement, Jordan Hicks. Yeah, shout out to Jordan Hicks, who retired. How many seasons did he play? 10 years? 10.
Yep.
Yes. 10 years in the league. That's right. And went into the league with an injury history already in college. And ended up playing 10 years.
And fought through some injuries in the league, too. I mean, just a really, really productive career. The Eagles, Cardinals, I think the Vikings, and obviously finished with the Browns. So, yeah, that's a hell of a career. I can remember the fall of 2009. God, I've been doing this way too long. Yeah. But I can remember, Jordan Hicks, the demand for his time as a recruit was so high. He would have Jerry, I don't know if you remember this, he would have a weekly conference call. Actually, you would dial into the conference call,
yes,
and he would answer any questions you had. But it's like, hey, we're going to take 30 minutes every week, and this is how you're going to, get your recruit information from Jordan Hicks. So that was fun. Will Muschamp recruited him, which is, again, why I was a big fan of Jordan Hicks to begin with. But, just fought through so much to come really close to fulfilling the promise that you'd hope a five-star football recruit would fulfill.
Hey, by the way, so 951 career tackles in the NFL, despite all the injuries, is an amazing number, 13 sacks. And by the way, you can thank Charlie Strong did do something good for Texas. If he hadn't got the Louisville job, Hicks was going to sign with Florida. Jeff, you remember this.
Yeah.
He got hired by Louisville because Charlie was not going to lose that recruitment. And when he did, Hicks ended up at Texas. So Charlie did win something for Texas.
There you go.
Two fortunate things happened for two of the better defensive players in that era. It was Charlie leaving, and then Urban retired for like 48 hours and then didn't. Florida was just too volatile for Jordan Hicks. And if Pete Carroll stays at USC, Jackson Jeffcoat's probably a Trojan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. So happy retirement to Jordan Hicks. Just one more NFL stories really quick. A couple of NFL topics I want to hit. Unfortunately, I think Kendrick Coburn was released earlier this week by the Titans. Yeah, I mean, honestly, a big part of it is just they actually been overloaded on. I mean, they started to try to beef up with D tackles and Tavondre Sweat now with them. I mean, he's legit, man. I mean, he played. I want to say it was the second or third most snaps for a rookie D tackle last year.
Yeah.
He played a ton for them. So hopefully Kendrick Coburn gets on his feet. Also, I saw this as talking about reports from NFL training camp. And Jeff, I believe you also commented on this via Twitter. It came from a report from a beat reporter from the Sun Sentinel. Said that Dolphins rookie quarterback Quinn Ewers had a strong third practice of training camp, made several impressive big-time throws. So Quinn getting some love out there at training camp.
It's a setting where he should rip it up, and kind of like his college career, if he's healthy, if his body doesn't let him down, Dolphins have a chance to get a steal. And from a schematic standpoint, I know people talk about McVay and Shanahan. I don't think he could have found a better fit than being in Mike McDaniel's offense.
It's very similar to Sark's offense in there are a lot of crossover principles and concepts in those offense. So I agree with you. I think he landed. He obviously didn't want to drop to the 7th round, but he might have landed in the perfect place for him. Also considering the injury history of the quarterback in front of him to us. So I agree with you on that. So shout out to Cole having a good third practice.
And if you're the Dolphins, it's a no risk deal. He's a 7th round pick. So if you hit, okay, great. It's found money with a 7th round pick. If he doesn't, then all right, we're going to probably burn a 7th round pick anyway.
Another 5-star guy though, right? Like you talk about Jordan Hicks and talk about another 5-star guy. Let's talk about another 5-star prospect for Texas. The NFL is doing their top 100 players ranking. They got Bijan at 62nd. Too high, too low, in your opinion? Bijan, 62nd best overall player in the league.
I think that's just right. I forgot who was I looking at. I was looking at somebody's top 100 a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Pete Prisco at CBS had a top 100 and had Bijan in the 38, 39. Oh, that was probably a little too high. I think 62 is just right. It gives him a chance to rise the next couple of years.
Yeah. Jerry, what are your thoughts?
I'd have to see the whole list. I mean, that's a tough one for me without seeing the whole list, but I think he's on the verge of being a top 50 player overall in the league.
Yeah.
And I think what a great place. I mean, that means you're a top 50 football player in the world. I mean, that's an unbelievable place to be if you think about it.
Yeah.
I'd have to see the whole list. And what running backs are ranked ahead of him as well.
Yeah, that's the question too. I mean, I feel like he's going to end up in the top 5 running backs. Has to if he's 62nd. I'm just kind of doing all the time. I mean, Derrick Henry's going to be ahead of him. They'll probably have a guy like a Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe. Saquon Barkley will be. Yeah, as I'm saying, I feel like he's top 5 as the 62nd, but as Jerry said, we haven't seen the entire list. All right, there you go. A couple of NFL headlines because the training camp has already started for a lot of the Longhorns, for all of the Longhorns who are in the NFL, and training camp starting for the Texas Longhorns actually coming up next week. And let me ask you guys this, and then we'll dive into some more questions here. What's the one thing or the top thing that you want to hear coming out of training camp? Like the first reports, the first you talking to your sources, Jerry, your sources, Jeff. What is the first thing you want to hear? First report you would like to hear coming out of training camp for the Longhorns? Communication
is where it is strong on the offensive line, and communication is strong in the back end of the defense.
That's good.
Those are my things. It's like it's not even about depth charts, and it's about Cole Hudson taking control and the communication's really good early on. Because I do think they work on that, by the way, in the summer. I don't think that's something where you just put it away and then you show up in August or July 30th as this. And communication in the secondary was unbelievable last year.
Yeah,
that is an area you could slip and be defensively maybe not quite as good as last year, even though I think the talent level may be better. is if you don't have the great communication. The last year's communication in the back end was tremendous, off the charts good. Can you replicate that or come close? You're not going to replicate it. Can you be 90% of that?
Yeah. I think for me, it's the first time for these guys in a formal team setting, the guys that got here in June, if the reviews on Emmett Mosley, Jack Andrews, and Murad Watson, if they are who this staff so far thinks they are, then you've got a national championship caliber roster for sure.
Yeah, I like that.
What about you, Rod?
Yeah, to me, it's honestly because all these are kind of first world problems for Texas, right? Texas doesn't have any. There's not like a particular weakness or hole in the roster or liability. We're like, oh, I got to hear about this because that could sink this season for the Longhorns. Like they don't have that kind of issue, right? I'm very curious to hear like how they're going to like who's going to play at linebacker the most and how they're going to work these linebacker rotations, right? Because Trey Moore started at linebacker. Or is that Leonga LaFau starting a linebacker?
LaFau. I think Trey Moore
behind.
Yeah. I don't. That's a good question, Rod. By the way, we played Brad Spence's senior high school highlights this morning, and it was pretty eye-opening. He looked like an NFL player as a senior, as an NFL prospect as a senior. Johnny Nansen, those guys have a tough task on this one because Trey Moore, I think. They cross-trained him there. They're trying to help his NFL career. But when push comes to shove, he was really good off the edge last year, playing assignment football, playing the run. He was really good. But Colin Simmons' snaps have to go way up this year because he only got him 2 more years.
He doesn't lead the field. Yeah.
So does some of it come down to Colton Vosic's health?
Yeah. Because that's going to affect the edge rotations too.
Yeah.
Because Sark's the one talking up Brad Spence on the edge and talking up, oh man, look for Anthony Hill, by the way, sidebar. Did you see the Blake threw it out there? Blake does a great job, Blake Monroe, kind of reporting some of the top storylines related to Texas football. And he pointed out that a scout thinks that Anthony Hill is going to get drafted at like edge, like as an edge defender. And Matt Miller, I pointed this out. Matt Miller recently put out a tweet. Thank you very much, Matthew. That's why he's the best in the business. But we talked about Matt Miller put out a tweet earlier, maybe it was last week, and he was listing the top edge defenders and saying it's going to be a really deep edge class for the draft. And he put Anthony Hill up there. Yeah. As one of the edge. I was like, what? And so the word is out now, apparently, that Anthony Hill is at first of all, at Texas, he's underutilized as a pass rusher, so he should have more pass rush snaps. But that dude needs to be on the edge more, and if he's going to be on the edge more this year, and then that's going to affect the rotations of the edge and the linebacker position that they've kind of almost conflated and they've basically cross-trained all these guys to be multi-dimensional and be able to do both on the edge and a linebacker. I can't wait to see what the end result is. Because they definitely there's a purpose to it. I just haven't figured it out. My idea was that they're going to have a first down defense, a second down defense, and a third down defense.
Yeah,
they're that deep, right? And they can be that situationally specific because they have so much depth and so much versatility. That's the only thing I can come up with. But I can't wait to see what this Frankenstein monster of a front seven is going to look like with the edge and the linebackers all being able to be interchangeable. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah. I would play Anthony Hill off the edge more because I think he could be a 12-sack guy.
Yep. Easy.
I mean, I think you could put him and Colin Simmons in situation like you said, and you could have the best pass rush combo Texas has had in my years doing this. That's saying something because Rack, Sergio, there's been some good ones. B-Rob, Crowder, all around guys, but both had put up stats. But if you put Simmons and Anthony Hill out there together, opposite sides, I don't know, man. I mean, that's then you bring Brad Spence in at that linebacker in the same spot. That's where it gets. But here's the thing, Rod. Rotationally, can you get it done within series within.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, but they have, it's an embarrassment of riches. And it's going to affect the edge position too, because you're so deep. They're deep at linebacker and edge, and you're cross training guys to play both. They up to something, and I wish I knew what it was. I won't find out and hopefully Ohio State finds out.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say, Rod, is that's the important part of camp for me, is how much can you install, how deep in the weeds can you get in terms of expanding the package for these guys, because at some point you got to get ready to go play a game in Columbus on August 30th, and how much do you want to put on the field in Ohio State where you're experimenting? I don't know that I want to have stuff on the fly and try it out for the first time against Ohio State. You can do it against San Jose State or UTEP or Sam Houston all you want. So I don't know that we'll see them get that exotic in terms of new personnel. If they're getting exotic, I think it's going to be largely with the returning personnel, and then whether it's more of Trey Moore at linebacker or Brad Spence just adding those pieces, I think that's more stuff we see as non-conference play evolves. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about corner. Like, I'm not going to be shocked at all if you're starting secondary in Columbus isn't Jalen Gilbo at corner with Jelani McDonald at nickel and Michael Taff and Derek Williams are your starting safeties. Probably because at that point you just want more experience on the field than anything.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. No, you're right. And you don't have the warm-up game like you had last year. Last year, they used the NASCAR in the first game, and then we saw it also in the Michigan game. And in Michigan, we also saw that 3D tackle package. But that was tailor-made specifically for that matchup. So, Jeff, you're probably right about that. And I'm with you. The SEC is what matters. If you want to break out some of that stuff, that's probably the time to do it.
Now, I'll say this. I think the first game where we really see PK get freaky, I think it's that game in Gainesville, that SEC opener. Because you're going to have time in non-conference to tinker, and by that point, you'll figure out, okay, how many snaps can we give Brad Spence? How many snaps can we give Brad Spence? How many snaps can Trey Moore have at linebacker? Do we need him at edge more? And then I think in that game plan in Gainesville, I think that's going to give you the blueprint for what we see the rest of the way.
Also, it depends on how Oklahoma looks, though. You might be breaking out some of that stuff. If Mateer's a beast, you're going to be breaking out some of that stuff versus Mateer, too. If he's that nasty in that Arbuckle offense. But that's a good point there, Jeff. All right, let's hit some questions. We got a bunch of them here. Let's start at the top here. How about this one from AJJ? Said, fellas, do you think guys that think that this will be the best blocking group of wide receivers Texas had in the Sark era? Wingo, obviously, Demo, Emmett Mosley. What do you guys think?
Man, Whittington made guys who didn't want to block look like a good blocking group of wide receivers because he did such a great job. Not that Worthy didn't want to, but he needed to protect himself from injury. He didn't want to get rolled up on. Emmett Mosley's going to be a physical cat. We watched his high school tape this morning, too. We went and watch Murad Watson's high school tape, Emmett Mosley, Brad Spence, and Jack Injuries. Emmett Mosley's going to be physical, a blocker. He does not lack physicality. And I kind of talked about his mom was the soccer player of the year in college soccer at Notre Dame. His dad played football, so he's got toughness, right? That goes without question. DeAndre Moore's got for a SoCal cat, he's got a lot of toughness and physicality to him too. Now the young kids behind, we'll see. I don't know. I think it's a toss-up.
Look, I think to Jerry's point, all the good Jordan Whittington did. They're great receivers, but I saw enough blocking from Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell that it almost canceled out the good Jordan Whittington did. So I think this group has a chance, but if we're being honest, that bar's not very high to clear.
Yeah. No, that's true. They haven't had elite blocking receivers. They're serviceable, but they're not necessarily.
Parker Livingstone strikes me as a understand how to get yourself on the field player.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be make plays vertically on 50-50 balls and block your off in the run game.
Yep.
Now, I think if you're talking about some of those Mac Brown era receiver units, if you want to say, can this group match some of those blocking? Like I think that 2004-05 run where it's like Tony Jeffrey, Limas Swede, Billy Pittman. Those are some really good blocking wide receivers. And then obviously with Jordan and Quan and that group, you had some great blocking wide receivers in there too. So I think that to me is the bar where you're going with this group. Just because I think you got bigger bodies, you got more physical skill sets. I think that's where you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, before our next question, I think all three of us whiffed on the opening question, Rod. What do we want to hear the first few days of training camp?
I know the arch thing, but
No running back injured.
Yeah, injuries. Period. You're right.
Injuries. Running back room's healthier.
That's the number one thing. Actually,
ending injuries.
That's what Bobby would have said if he was on.
Yeah.
Old school with the wisdom, would be like, no injuries. You're right. That's what in any position. You're right about that. That's the number one thing you want to hear out of training camp, honestly, especially for a team as talented as Texas. All right, getting back to it. Zane says, fellas, what is biggest concern about the team coming to the season and why? Like I just said, they don't have any first world problems, in my opinion. Texas doesn't have any big holes on the roster or even, I think, schematically, culturally, or anything like that. But they got to the Final Four the last 2 years, so there's something keeping them from getting to the national title game. I think that's the conversation we're having, which is an awesome conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest concern is kind of what I said earlier. Is the secondary going to have that high level of communication? Because, Rod, you played it. If you have broken plays, you're dust. You're giving up bombs. You're giving up touchdowns, right? The communication was such a high level for the Texas secondary last year. You went into games not thinking they were going to give up busted coverage, big plays, which they had done the previous 2 years. So that's kind of my question is, Makuba and Barron together leaving. Texas has talent, but are they going to be on the same level of communication? That's my biggest concern. That's how talented this team is for me.
For me, it's really it's the interior of the offensive line. I just keep going back to that group: Cole Hudson, DJ Campbell, and Neto. We haven't seen Neto do it. If you go back and watch games last year, like the SEC championship game, go back and watch the Cotton Bowl, there are high leverage points in those games where DJ Campbell's not on the field.
Yeah.
So, I love the idea that he looks great physically. I love what I've heard about him from a leadership standpoint, but you need to see him do it. And then, Cole Hudson at center, he's an experienced guy. He's played a lot of football. He hasn't done it there, though, and everything that goes into being a center. So how quickly those three come together, to me, is my biggest concern.
You brought up a great point. Last year when DJ struggled, they could put Cole Hudson in. This year they cannot.
Right.
Is it going to be Nate Kibble, the redshirt freshman, that takes on that role? That is something that Kyle Flood and Sark are going to have to decide. That's very key, because what if DJ still has a bit of the same struggles? Last year you just plugged Cole Hudson in. This year you're not going to be able to do that. He's playing center. So that is something that's going to have to be decided.
The other thing too, Jerry, it depends on, growth, and I think Kyle Flood will get an idea of this when they get into camp. But you got to ask yourself, all right, who's further ahead? Is Daniel Cruz more prepared to take snaps at center, or is Nate Kibble more prepared to be the number 3 guard? Yeah. And then based on that, if you've got situations now, how do you maneuver guys? So now I'm with you that the young guys on the offensive line that have developed and that we've heard good things about need to continue to trend that way, whether it's Cruz or Kibble, Nick Brooks, Andre Kojo, they've got to continue to trend that way.
One thing I want to add to that, because people have asked, like DM'd or various times, could Texas move Nick Brooks, the guard, to get him on the field? I was told in June that's not likely to happen because, look, you got to have him ready at tackle, because last year when Banks goes down, what if Gooseby goes down with an ankle sprain and misses 2 games? I think they're going to let Brooks, at least early, stick at left tackle, really continue to develop there, and maybe even take some snaps at right. But I think they're going to leave him. The plan going into camp is to leave him at tackle. But I do know there was one person that thought he could just go start at guard this year. He was that good.
Yeah.
But I just don't think Texas is in a position, tackle depth-wise, in August to really think about a move like that. But I could be wrong.
if I'm thinking about guys that have worked at that I know that have worked at both positions, I mean, Jaden Chapman is probably your swing guy going into the season, but I think that's subject to, could it be Kojo? I mean, I don't know. I think, man, Jerry, you said I haven't really thought about that point, but I think Nate Kibble's development as the number 3 guard that's as important. I mean, for all the talk we talk about Daniel Cruz being ready or Connor Robertson or whoever it is, man, you need to have you've proven the last couple of years you need to have a number 3 guard, like a legitimate option for a third guard.
All right, good stuff, guys. Sean with a question says, did you guys hear about the University of Memphis player that transferred and gave UTSA all of the defensive play calls and audibles? Okay, for those who haven't heard, this is a very bizarre story. So last week it was reported that by multiple different sources, and alleged, I should say, that it was alleged at the time, that former Memphis safety Taj Rael leaked elements of Memphis's defensive playbook to UTSA ahead of the team's November 2nd game, where UTSA won 44-36, a shootout. Since then, they have now obtained the media. It has leaked out the actual screenshot of the alleged text message to the quarterback, Owen McCown. It's crazy. I mean, look at it right there. I mean, he's saying, here you go. That's all the signals. Owen McCown responds with the emojis. And he said, far leftist coverages. I'll send you the better list, showing you the call. But they run quarters, and none of their safeties can cover BTW. No reroutes on the side. I mean, it goes into detail. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. All right, but my point is, they have now responded. So at this point, this allegation has now been proven and confirmed. Rael was previously reported to have left the team, Memphis, in October, but now a source is saying that Memphis told Tiger Sports Report that he was dismissed from the team, which adds more context to maybe his motive about this thing. And here is the response. You're going to play. Yeah, here's a response from Owen McCown about this controversy. Here it is.
Yeah, no, obviously, first and foremost, I didn't ask for any of that information. It kind of, based off my little emoji reaction, you can see it caught me, by surprise what happened. Like Coach said, the information was completely irrelevant, and it doesn't really, fit, how we take week in and week out, how we prepare. It was like I said, completely irrelevant, and that's all it was.
Oh, and do you feel like this paints you in a bad light? Like, what would you say to the people who are kind of almost attacking you at this point?
Yeah, I just think they don't know how we process week in and week out. Like I said, the information had made zero sense. It was completely irrelevant to what we do week in and week out.
Okay, thoughts, gentlemen. What are your thoughts about this? Because they're trying to downplay it. They're definitely trying to downplay it and make it go away. Because they were asked about it, the folks at Purdue. Because now the young man Taj Rael, he transferred to Purdue. And the coaches, this is the quote from them when they were asked about it. They said, our coaching staff sees the scenario as being mischaracterized and does not have any concerns moving forward. And then you hear that's what he had to say about what UTSA is saying. It's like, it had no impact on the game. I beg to disagree.
Yeah, come on. I mean,
that is wild. That's wild.
So people have brought up in the chat, this is the problem. This will come up again. This is the transfer portal. This is one of the football integrity issues in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Because if somebody transfers and then they're not happy with what was supposed to happen with the school they transferred to, how are they going to get back at that school?
Yeah. Just like this. Yeah, right. And it was a shootout. They won by one score. Won by one score. And by the way, they missed the conference championship game. They missed the conference championship by one game in the standings too. Memphis did. So it made a difference. That is a crazy story. That's pretty wild, man. Jeff, your thoughts about it? I've never heard anything like that. And I played the game. I disagree with the young man. I think it made an impact, a big impact on the game. There's no doubt.
I was just looking last year. Memphis was 66th nationally in total defense, 118th against the pass. So it's not like UTSA needed a lot of help. Shouldn't have needed a lot.
That's true.
My thing is, I'm willing to bet that the text exchange or the DM exchange that's out there, that's not how this originated. Like, come on, like, why is somebody just going to jump in your DMs and just start sharing plans? Like, how did that conversation originate?
Yeah.
And look, I understand, like, lawyers get involved in PR people and everybody's trying to put the fire out. I get it. But like, if I'm owing an account, I want my name cleared. If I didn't do anything, I want it cleared as soon as possible. I want to be like, look, I got it. I took it straight to the coaches. We turned it over to the conference. Like, we didn't use it, whatever. I didn't ask for it. But I know he said a little bit about that, but there's just, I don't know. It just seems, it's not passing the smell test for me.
Yeah. So Stephen Houston, I 100% agree. I think stuff like this probably happens more than we think. That and point shaving, absolutely, in the betting world. I have no doubt in my mind.
Definitely a lot of money at stake. Thank you for that question. Yeah, that was one of the more bizarre stories from college football this week. Jay, it's a tad askew. Well done there. Okay, I like that. Jay Lee with a super chat. Thank you, Jay. We appreciate it. Says, outside of Ohio State and Georgia, my concerns are at UF. He said, I think it's going to be a very hard game, a confident and likely 9-2 A&M team, and then we can run the ball when we have to. Can we run the ball?
So for the UF thing, it all depends on Lagway's health for me. And I'm going to keep saying that till he proves he's healthy. And I actually talked to somebody in Atlanta about this, and I was told that he opted to not have surgery coming out of high school, and he's continued to have issues. So if that is actually true, and I believe that to be true, according to the person that told me that, then is DJ Lagway going to be healthy enough this year? Because he's a big frame guy. He's going to take hits. He's going to initiate contact. He's going to play on the move. What's his health like? If Lagway's healthy, Florida is going to be a dangerous offensive line because their center guard is really good in the run game. I think their receivers are really good. I think they have an NFL running back. And I think they have a quarterback that fits Napier's system perfectly and can throw it down the field and stretch the field vertically. His health's the whole key for me in that game because I don't think they have – you can't replace a guy like that if you lose him.
Yeah, it's pretty simple for me, Jerry. If they don't have DJ Lagway, I don't think they can score enough to stay in games. I think in the trenches, they're probably in the top quarter of the conference or top 4 or 5 in the SEC. But to me, they're compared to where I expect Florida to be, they're so deficient on the perimeter that if they don't have DJ Lagway, I just don't see how they're going to score enough points to beat some of the teams that are on their schedule.
Yeah. And the other thing is, I agree with that. Florida's first group of defensive linemen are really good. Where's their depth going to be at late by midway through this point in the season? Because I think they have some depth issues up front they have to solve early in the season. Their frontline guys are really good.
No, lines of scrimmage for Florida, frontline lines of scrimmage. O-line is going to be good this year. I think their running game is going to be pretty good too. Obviously, all that depends on if Lagway can stay healthy. But I'll give CJ some credit. He's been saying that's a dangerous game. That's been worrying him too, Jay. He was talking about that a couple of months ago, and he's right. Florida looks like they could be a dangerous team by that time. A&M, you shall say. I mean, that's a rival. So rivals are always dangerous. That's no matter which rival, even if it's Arkansas. I mean, it's a rival. So I think you're always on kind of your P's and Q's. Going into the game. F for Fake says, have you guys heard about them trying that 7'9" basketball player as a kick blocking specialist on special teams?
So this is interesting. I've not heard about this. I saw this kid at IMG Academy when I was there. Before his senior year in high school. I just want to see him in a uniform. I just want to see it tried. I mean, like he goes to the Brian Robeson spot and he's like, the guy can dunk a basketball without leaving his feet. So you have to get a ball up really high and really quick. I'd be interested to see him try it. I mean, I hope it happens. We need it to happen. I want to see him in a football uniform.
That would be freaky, man. Honestly, that would be brilliant if it actually is effective and it would work. Yeah, because I mean, it would definitely force you to have to. change the trajectory of the kick. If he's gonna be right there in the center, man, like I ain't gonna come right down the middle. You're gonna have to do what you got to go real high, or you got to go around me. That would be, I don't know. I've never heard of that before. I don't think I've ever heard of that ever in football. That would be something potentially unprecedented. That'd be pretty damn cool. All right. Thank you for the question. Let's get back to him here. How about this one from Kyle? Says, Jerry, how many of the 21 commits in this cycle are early enrollees?
Let's see. Diabell, Tyler Atkinson, Bishop, Wesley, Cooper. I'm not sure on Vodney, Cleveland, Turntine. James Johnson should be. Samari Matthews, not sure on Corey Wells. Paula is. I believe Stewart is. Not sure on Hayward Howard. Max Wright and Robertson are, I believe. Cohen Brown, I believe, is. And I believe Riley is. So I think the majority of those guys. I'll check on Corey Wells, Dylan Berryman, and Vodney Cleveland. I'll check on the D lineman. But those are the ones I think I know are.
All right. Thank you for the question, Kyle. We appreciate it. How about this one coming up from Doug? Doug says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Jerry, any more highs regarding football recruiting? Devon Benjamin updates. Thank you.
No highs right now. Devon Benjamin's either announcing on the 2nd of August or the 5th. We'll see which date he settles on. Right now, it's publicly on the 2nd. I think Oregon leads. Has been the leader. Michigan, Texas in the fight. Washington and UNC with hats at the table. Texas all in. They'd love to get him. Can they overcome Oregon, who's been recruiting him a long time? We'll see. He's been there more than any other school, too, I believe. Jake Krull, the question around him is when will he announce? Will it be in October, like there's been some behind-the-scenes chatter that's possible? Or would he do something closer to the start of IMG practice? I believe IMG has their media day coming up on August 2nd. So could he do something that week around that? Because I think IMG would love to get all their kids to get it behind them. Because it can be a circus there with as many D1 players as they have in all their classes. But obviously they wouldn't force him to, but they'd love it if he got it behind them. So when will Jake Krull do something is a big question. Could it be next week, or will it be pushed back into October? I think if Texas makes a push there, they can win that recruitment.
All right. Thank you, Doug, for the question. Oh, got a couple of super chats here. The Loin Girder, we appreciate you for the super chat. Said, should Texas bench Wingo for not eating Texas barbecue? Well, I mean, that's a good.
That's one thing that could get you benched.
I mean, they did get the shout out, though, from the latest recruitment from the running back who loves Terry Blacks.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, Derek Cooper does.
Derek Cooper gave him a shout out. So, did he reference like basically St. Louis barbecue or something?
I don't know.
It's what his dad makes.
He wants that, but that's okay. So he wants the home. He wants the homemade barbecue, basically.
Yeah.
You know, you're making a lot of NIL money when you pass up opportunities like selling Texas barbecue.
Yeah, I mean, it sells itself. You don't need to sell Texas barbecue.
You can walk around with a Terry Blacks hat on and just like.
No, man. So thank you for the super chat, Loin Gorder. We appreciate that. How about this one from Jay? He brings back another one. Thank you, Jay, for the super chat. Says, Jerry, that's the premise of my OU versus UT schedule. He said, I think our hardest 4 games, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, and A&M, are harder than OU's hardest 5 to 6 games.
I think that's I can hear the argument there. I can hear that
because they're on the road all years, except the A&M game, of course.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, Oklahoma's got a brutal schedule, but yeah, I mean, I can hear the argument. I can hear the argument, but I think Oklahoma's schedule is amongst the toughest in the country when you consider who they're playing on the road, then the Texas game neutral, and then even who they're hosting in SEC play. I mean, that's a brutal schedule. Roll left, what happened to the Yingling Neon? It's over here. It may be up on the wall soon.
All right, thank you, Jay. Oh, Jay, here we go. Got another from Jay. How do you balance getting? This is a good question. Thank you for the super chat, Jay. How do you balance getting proven guys ready in camp while managing trying to keep them healthy? Camp injuries terrify me. They terrify all of us, Jay. I agree with you on that. I think ultimately guys who are proven commodities for you, I don't need to see a ton from them. I need them to get ready. So we'll build to that ultimate crescendo of Ohio State. And you got plenty of time for that, right, in training camp. But I don't need them out there getting a ton of reps in full contact team drills. So I would protect guys. I'm sorry, it's just the way I would protect certain guys in order to build the depth and try to figure out what my depth pieces are. I mean, you got, just take defense alone, right? You got Taft, you got Malik Muhammad, you got Colin Simmons, you got Anthony Hill. I want to get those guys ready to play, but I don't need them to prove anything to me.
Yeah, I think the experience thing, how much experience does a player have, matters here, right? Because like last year, I mean, Jermaine Lole was pretty much body parts sewn together by the time he got to Texas. So they weren't going to do much with him. They just wanted to get him to Saturdays.
Yep.
I could see similar with a Travis Shaw, right? I mean, he's had some lingering knee issues. I know he had a slight limp when I saw him in June. I think it's a little better now. But how much practice time does he really need? I mean, he's been in college football a while. A LaVon Johnson who's coming off a knee, same thing. So I think the experience part of that is big in how many reps do these guys take. But I expect to see a few guys that go the route of Jermaine Lole. And it may not even be guys that have had a surgery. It's just, okay, you've been doing this a long time. I mean, Anthony Hill, you've been doing this a long time. How many reps do we truly need if you're already in tip-top shape? I mean, it's not like Anthony Hill needs the pad contact rod. Doesn't matter for him. Colin Simmons, they want him to have his gas gear for Ohio State. He's not going to be over-practiced in August.
I think with the veterans, they will try to kind of ramp it up a little bit. Like the first couple of weeks of camp, that's usually just to get the young guys acclimated, get some of your newcomers acclimated. Sark has even said they're basically going to treat the last 2 weeks of camp and get ready for Ohio State. He compared it to a bowl game, said with just more physicality. So, like, that's going to be the time where you get your vets calloused up a little bit. But I would be surprised if, like, those first 2 weeks of camp, if you hear about, like, the vets being in a lot of and you don't have as much live contact as you used to in practice. No. But I would say that first 2 weeks is probably going to be more for the young guys in terms of your live periods.
Yeah, and I would almost ask you just leave it up to the position coaches. Just give them the executive order, and be like, hey, these are our guys. We don't need those guys, getting a lot of reps. Like those guys, get them a few reps. Once you see what you need from them, let's pull those guys out. Get some of those young guys in there to see how quickly we can acclimate them, like Jeff said. Okay, let me thank another sponsor before we move on. Thank you guys for the super chats. We'll get back to a couple of questions before we end things today. But let's thank our friends over at Von Lane. We appreciate Von Lane for being a sponsor here on Texas Football. You've got to get from one of the major cities in Texas to another one, right? You're trying to get to Houston, you're trying to get to Dallas, trying to get to Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin. It's a bit of a toss-up. Do you deal with the airport chaos and hope your flight isn't delayed, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel, battling traffic and burning an entire day of productivity, dealing with road rage? Well, the third option is the best option. It's Von Lane. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into a one of 22 oversized first-class plush leather seats with 140-degree recline, leg rest, and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you need. And if you need to relax, well, you simply just lay back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, there's high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. And fall travel right now is booking fast, so reserve your spot now for October trips to Texas versus OU, F1 and ACL in Austin, or college football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Von Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, now adding Nashville and Atlanta, Memphis, also adding Knoxville to that list. The Woodlands has also now been added, and Plano. So they keep expanding the Von Lane universe, and we appreciate them for that. Visit vonlane.com, VONLANE.com, and use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. All right. Thank you very much to our friends at Von Lane. More super chats here. The Loin Girder, he's got another one. Thank you very much, Loin Girder. He said, Blake posted something earlier about Anthony Hill at edge, where an NFL person hoped to see Sark use him more there. Can you imagine Hill and Simmons off the edge with Moore and Spence at linebacker? Scary. Loin Girder, that's crazy. We literally talked about it probably the first 15, 20 minutes of the show. That was one of the one thing that I am curious about coming out of training camp is what are they up to? They're experimenting with their edge rushers and their linebackers, cross-training them. And Sark has indicated this is intentional. He's talked about it. Brad Spence now being used on the edge and that linebacker. We know Anthony Hill has done it several times. He even said Colin Simmons has got to learn some of that stuff. And we know Trey Moore's been doing it. They're up to something. I think they want a specific situational defense for first down, second down, and third down. Third down defense is your NASCAR package because you want them in third and long. I think they want a first down defense where 65-70% of the time teams are going to run the football. And I think they want a defense on second down built on second and long. That's the only thing I can think of, really, guys. Other than that, they're going to – because I'm not sure who's going to start at linebacker and at edge because all of these rotations are going to affect edge and linebacker because they're cross-training all these guys. So we got to be talking about matchup-specific or situational-specific personnel groupings with these guys. And you have the depth and the versatility and the variety to do it. In my opinion.
To me, it's more, the other part I look at too, Rod, it's being unpredictable on any down. On any down, you can play in theory base personnel, and you can have 5-6 guys on any given down that can rush the passer.
Yeah,
you never know where it's coming from, or from what level. It's coming from the second level. They're gonna blitz a little bit more. They're bringing off the edge. They're gonna focus on bringing heat up the middle. I think it opens you up to not being predictable.
Yeah, a lot of sim pressures maybe.
Yeah,
right? Your edges and your linebackers similar skill sets, so I can drop these guys and also rush these guys, confuse blocking schemes, run as you said, Jeff. You've been pointing this out all year. A lot of more twists and stunts because you're a little bit more athletic on the edge and that linebacker from that second level. So if he doesn't want to blitz, maybe just simulated pressures, a lot of those creepers as they call them. But that could work really well. So they're up to something, though. They're up to something.
Oh, Jerry,
I'm gonna coin a term. I know I was muted for you. It's ultimate sim pressures this year. They've gone from sim pressures to ultimate sim pressures with the talent level.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the versatility.
It can't be. Yeah, I'm with you. It can't be coincidence. I like that, Jeff. I like that. The ultimate sim pressure, Jerry. That's cool. All right, Sean here with a super chat. Thank you, Sean. He says, over under for On Texas football to reach 100K subscribers by the end of the 25-26 college football season. You know what? If they have the season that we believe they're going to have, and we try not to be too much of homers on here and give it to you how we believe it's going to work out, they're going to be a playoff team and have a chance to make a playoff run. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we'll cross it by the end of this season. Now, that may cross over into January and the playoffs, but I think we will because you guys have been great in your support and building this, helping us build this OTF family. It's really you guys, not anything to do with us.
If we get close and I question whether they're going to make it, I'll throw up live on air to get it done. I'll throw up live to get the extra subscribers so it goes viral. Like just vomit. I'll do anything it takes to get us over the top there. If
you keep eating mayo corn dogs at 9 a.m. in the morning.
I'll be puking anyways.
Exactly. If you keep downing mayo corn dogs.
How about a projectile vomit at 99,000 to push us over quickly?
And then Matthew's going to make a GIF of it, too. And then we're going to relive it over and over again. All right, let's get back to the questions.
Like that, yep.
All right, we got a couple of more here. We'll try to get in before we get done. Cameron says, how much do y'all think Sark's offense is impacted early in the season as his game plan is self-centric compared to later in the season when it's possibly more opponent-centric? Oh, interesting. I think these big matchups really influence Sark early on. I mean, because I track a lot of I call them like the little cheat codes that Sark uses, his force multipliers, his conceptual signatures. And all of those conceptual shifts, not all of them, but for the most part, in the big games, they all increase. So to your point, like the pre-snap motions, targets to motion, usually your play action and RPO rates, they go up for Sark in those really big games. Because I think that's when he's ultimately in his creative bag. So to your point, maybe that is it, that early on, it's self-centric, meaning it's just Sark focusing on how good his offense can be as they get, I think as more of his offense is exposed, I should say. I just think it's easier for defense to game plan. They have more sample size. And Sark said this, by the end of the season, he even said basically, and who kept saying, I said, man, I feel like they ran out of plays. When I said that more. I said, I feel like just watching Texas, I feel like they ran out of plays toward the end of the year. I said that multiple times. And what did Sark say? In the media, he's like, I think we need to have more stuff. Yeah. I think it's just because the season is so long, dude, with a sample size, you got people that are just tracking every down, every tendency. And by 10, 15 games in, guys, I know who you are. That's why breaking tendency is so important in those big games later on in the season. So to your point, Cameron, maybe I think he should be more self-centric later and more opponent-centric early. Because I think late in the season, you need to almost reinvent yourself some way offensively. Ohio State did it. Ohio State started running like 70%, 80% gap scheme toward the end of the year. They completely changed the offense. The defense changed too. They started running more three-high inverted looks, way more than they did during the regular season. And Jim Knowles said, I broke out 2 coverages that I hadn't run all season long for Quinn. And those last 2 red zone plays. And what happened? Turnover, takeaway. Quinn was like, what the hell is this? I ain't seen this. You damn right you ain't seen it. Because you got to break tendency to win in big games. So, Cameron, I don't disagree with you at all. And to Sark's point, if he wants to evolve, maybe he needs to flip it. Maybe he needs to flip it and become more about himself and the evolution of his offense late in the season so that he's not as predictable when teams have that big sample size of film to watch on him and know his tendencies and weaknesses. That's a deep conversation, Cameron, for football theory. Probably it's good. I like it.
And I'll just add this. I think too the other thing that has plagued Sark, and it's not his fault really, late in the season the last 2 years were 2 years ago. It was that 23 offense. We never got to see it at its peak because right about the time Sark really started to trust Jonathan Brooks, Quinn got hurt. And then when Quinn came back, Brooks got hurt. So we never got to see it at its peak. And then last year, Quinn's health was so up and down, it was hard to plan from 1 week to the next and build on it because, Quinn, turns an ankle late in the Kentucky game. Well, now your plan for A&M has to be altered significantly. So or Arkansas, or whatever the next game was. But I think Arch's health is going to be paramount because if Arch is healthy, I think you're going to see this offense do something no Sark offense has done, which is hit a trajectory and just keep trending upward as the season goes on.
Mm-hmm. And not stall at one point or kind of hit a ceiling.
Starts, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's a good point. Nathan on Super Chat here says, if you could add, thank you, Nathan, for the Super Chat. If you could add one player from any team to improve the Texas roster this year, who would you pick?
So I want to say this. A lot of people are just going to automatically go to Jeremiah Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. I'm not. I'm going Dylan Stewart at South Carolina. If you put him and Colin Simmons out there opposite each other, with Anthony Hill, pack it in, boys.
Pack it in, boys. I love it. I think Jerry's right, actually. That's good.
2 top 5 picks off the edge. Pack it in, boys.
So Jerry's going with, we're just going to overkill it with defense. We're just going to overwhelm you with pressure.
60 sacks in 14 games.
For me, give me one of the top 2 centers in the SEC. Give me Jake Slaughter at Florida or Parker Brailsford at Alabama. Mm-hmm. It's no knock against Cole Hudson, but I get nervous thinking about a starting center that doesn't have extensive experience playing there, knowing how important that position is, the offensive line.
That's good. It's a good one. Oh, man, that's hard. It's hard to say, don't just add Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, it's not fun to just say Jeremiah Smith.
It is. I know. I'm with you. I want to get deeper into it too. Jeremiah Smith seems too easy. It does. That D tackle from Clemson is a good one. Leonard Moore. Damn, King Leo just hit it. Good for you, King Leo. Boom. Because you're deep at. I was gonna say Caleb Downs, but you're so deep at safety. I mean, Derek Williams comes back. You have 3 starting safeties essentially right now. You don't know who the starting corner is going to be opposite Malik Muhammad, and Leonard Moore is the best cover corner in the country. And honestly, guys, I thought he was the best cover corner coming out in this class. I said he was the best cover corner in the state that I had seen when he was coming out of Austin. Yeah, I said I thought he was the best one I seen. Now I hadn't seen all of them. But I was like, I don't think there's one with better film than what I've seen with Leonard Moore coming out of the Austin area. And turns out that was true. So I think you're right, King Leo. I'll go Leonard Moore. It's good. That's a good one. All right, let's take our.
I'm sticking on my Dylan Stewart. I'm sticking on my Stewart.
No, you're right. Because what we learned from the Super Bowl, right? And we learned it from watching Quinn in 4th and 13 as well. Protection will beat coverage. If you got enough protection on the line, you can beat good coverage. But we learned from the Super Bowl that pressure beats protection all day, every day. I don't give a damn how good your O-line is. If you got elite pass rushers and I can get organic pressure, I'm going to get you.
If you added Dylan Stewart to this team, you could approach Georgia 2021 defense level for me.
Yeah.
Of talent. Just pure pack it in boys talent.
Ooh, yeah, that's a scary proposition right there. What's the all-time sack record as a team, like team sack record?
That would be going down in that scenario.
Yeah. Now that's an F1 package. You would have a chance at whatever the all-time college football single-season sack record is. I'd put some money. Texas would definitely be in the conversation to break that record. All right, let's thank our last sponsor, our friends over at South Point Dodge, before we end today's live stream. Hey, Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram 1500, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing. That means you pay what the employees pay right now at South Point Dodge. They have a great inventory there as well, over 600 vehicles in stock. As we said, you can go see their inventory in person off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go online at southpointdodge.com and make it easy on yourself. That way, if you need a car, truck, trade-in, something new, something used, South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything. So get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. All right. Thank you very much to our sponsors, southpointdodge.com, bondlane.com. Use the code OTF25 and you'll save $20 off your first ride with Bond Lane. I say Chuck Norris. I like that. Thank our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes, always doing a great job. Thank you guys for the questions and all the super chats. Couldn't get to all of them, so I apologize. We couldn't get to all the questions, but they were great. So I appreciate you guys participating in the show. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Jeff, thank you for all of your knowledge and the expertise. Jerry, appreciate all your hard work as well. Matthew is the real MVP, remains the real MVP behind the scenes. So we appreciate Matthew. And for Jeff and for Matthew and for Jerry, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time,